that everything is truly the way that you think it is. Now, back in the days when I could explore the countryside around northwest Nebraska without getting arrested for trespassing, I would walk for hours. And occasionally, I would come across an old abandoned farmhouse. And many times when that happened, I would sort of sit down at a place in the yard and try to understand what this place was telling me. The silence of the wind blowing through the broken windows, the mirror hanging on the bedroom wall, just askance, the sodden mattress on the floor, the speechless horse-drawn machinery left in the yard, the ghost-like tower of an old windmill. And then suddenly I would hear a voice from the past say something like, "We had hoped to start a new life here, to settle down, to raise a family, put down roots in the neighborhood, make a fortune. But the bitter cold, the endless fields of snow, the rainless springs, the dust storms of the summer, the skies darkened by a cloud of grasshoppers, all of the crop failures, and the fruitless orchards tend to bathe us in wave after wave of deep depression. Our world fell apart, and we just walked away. And those people, rather than blaming a capricious God for all the terrible weather, walked away and blamed themselves for their failure. It's a story with a bad ending. And that is how it was long ago, as two people who had originally, years ago, dropped everything they had and followed Jesus when he asked them to follow him. And then these two people just had the floor drop out from under them. They had everything they had hoped for result in what they considered to be nothing. And so they just set out on a walk 7 miles long to try to get to some of their friends who were in this little town called Emmaus. And as they were walking, they talked about all that had happened during the last week of Jesus' life. And then a stranger joined them and asked them what they were talking about. And they told him that they were talking about things that had happened to Jesus in Jerusalem recently. And he simply asked, "What things?" Well, they could hardly believe that this man was unaware of all that had been going on. So they filled him in on all of the news and explained that Jesus was crucified and died. and speaking through a very sad demeanor and through tearful eyes, they also shared. But we had hoped that he would be the one to redeem Israel. They shared their disappointment, their sadness, and also their broken hearts. When it comes to things we talk about as we walk from here to wherever, we reflect on what has happened, and we begin to realize that many are the times in our lives when what we had hoped for was not what we got. We only received what we needed to have in order to move on and live the life that we have been given. And at that point, we realize we have a choice. Will we walk on with remorse, regret, and endless complaint? Or will we take joyful strides toward an open-ended future with thanksgiving for the life that indeed has been given to us? This is what these two disciples have to decide when they finish telling the stranger all that they had seen happen, and as the situation was according to what they had to say. So they present him with the truth that they are on their way to join some others in a village ahead, so they can talk about what they're going to do now that their world has fallen apart. When our world falls apart, I think it comes time to listen to voices other than our own. So these two add one more bit of information. Did you pick up on that? They told the stranger that some women had gone to the tomb and could not find Jesus' body. And as a result, there were some angels there, and the angels told them that Jesus was alive. And when they told the stranger that, the stranger said, "Really?" And they asked, "What do you think? Should we listen to a bunch of women?" The whole thing arouses memories of a husband and wife driving down the road, and the husband is behind the wheel, and suddenly they're in a territory that does not look familiar at all. And the wife says, "Don't you think we ought to stop and ask for directions?" What do you think happens next? Well, back to the stranger on the road to Emmaus. To their question about whether they should listen to the women, he simply says, "Why not? Why not?" What is more, after listening to their whole story, the stranger says the craziest thing, like, "Well, everything you've told me sounds exactly like the way it was supposed to happen." And suddenly he becomes like a rabbi, and then he goes and connects all of the dots in Scripture, the prophecy and the laws and all of that. And it turns out that they love what he tells them. For basically he says, the works of God do not look anything like the works of humankind. The memory of God is far better than the memory of humans, for even God's people are inclined to believe that the course of human events casts doubt on the continued presence of God, the continued and just amazing love of God, how it continues. But God sent one into the world to tell the people, I am with you always, even to the end of time. When they arrived in Emmaus, the stranger looked as if he wanted to move on. But the two disciples asked him to stay with them and invited him to have supper with them. And as he broke bread with them, their eyes were opened, and they recognized the one who was the risen Lord. And then he vanished. Why in the world would he vanish? Well, I don't know, but I think he did it so that he could see if they, and consequently we, have the faith to believe that God is with us, even when our world falls apart. Can we pick up the broken pieces of our lives and move on? Can we believe that life can be beautiful, even here in this broken world? If we can believe God is with us in such an enduring way that we are endowed with the gift to love one another as he loved us, can we do that without the physical presence of Jesus around, but by being equipped with the spiritual presence of the risen Christ? How about a yes and an amen to all of the above?
Amen.
Thank you.